All right, this is section 7.1a, solving one-step equations. So problem number 1 is x plus 7 equals 4. So what we would do is subtract 7 on both sides. And on the left, that would leave you with plus 7 minus 7, which equals 0. So you would drop down the x in the equals. And on the right, you would be left with negative 3. Next example, x minus 12 equals 3. So we would add 12 to both sides. Okay, so add 12 to both sides. On the left, you're left with x. Drop down your equals. And on the right, you have 15. Next problem is negative 6 times x equals 48. So whenever there's a variable right next to a number, that is multiplying. So the inverse operation would be to divide. So we're going to show that by a fraction bar. So divide both sides by negative 6. On the left, you would have x. And on the right, you would have 48 divided by negative 6, which is negative 8. All right, x divided by 3 equals 12. So the inverse of this would be to multiply. We're going to show this by using parentheses, so times 3 on each side. So on the left, we would have x, and on the right, we would have 36. All right, so if you could pause your video and go through these 4 problems. All right, so for number 1, you're going to subtract 7 on each side and end up with y equals 3. Number 2, divide by 4 and get x equals 12. Number 3, you're adding 5 to each side and you have x equals 11. And on number 4, you are multiplying each side by 9 and you get y equals 54. Okay, so this is negative 2/7 times x. So the inverse of that would be to divide. And then if you think back to when you learned how to divide fractions, you would do keep, change, flip. So in this case, we're going to flip 2/7 and make it 7/2, and we're going to keep the negative with the numerator. So we're going to multiply each side by negative 7/2. So on the left, you're going to have x equals and on the right, you're going to have negative 14. All right, 5 over 6w equals 10. So same thing we're going to do, which is keep, change, flip. So we're going to flip and multiply each side by 6 over 5. So w equals 12. Okay, so 2/3 z equals 14. So we are going to keep, change, flip, or flip and multiply, I should say. So we're going to flip the fraction and multiply each side by 3 over 2. So we end up with z equals 21.
Different why? Why does this look different? Because it's flipped around. Nothing changes. We still go about it the same way. It's just the variable's not on the left, the variable happens to be on the right. It's okay, you're still gonna do it the same way. So this is negative 3/4 times m. So what are you gonna do? Flip it and multiply. So times negative 4/3